Okay, 25 is asking us to do completing the square. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 95 to both sides. And I think the reason why this problem is a little more tricky is because you end up with something a little more odd. Oops, a little more funky than you normally expect from completing the square. I'm going to go ahead and add the box to both sides. Because I'm working on opposite sides of the equal sign, I'm going to add the box twice. So got 1 and 1 here, half the middle term. So x plus 1 squared equals, well, that's 1, so that's 100. I'm going to take the square root of both sides because I'm solving for x. X plus 1 equals plus or minus 10. All right? And then from here, I get two different scenarios. I get x plus 1 equals 10, and x plus 1 equals negative 10. If I subtract 1 from both sides on both problems, I get x equals 9 and x equals negative 11. What that means is that this problem from the start was factorable. Okay? And, you know, every once in a while we end up with a completing a square that's factorable. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so that was number 25. Let's move on to number 46. Okay, we're being asked to graph something here. That's y equals 2x squared minus 12x plus 16. Okay, this time completing the square is going to be used a little differently. I'm trying to change this thing into vertex form, so I'm going to factor the 2 out. And I'm going to kick the 16 on the outside. From here, I'm going to add the box. Now, if I add the box on one side of the equal sign, I end up having to add the box on the other side of the equal sign. But I end up having to subtract the box anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and subtract the box on the other side of the equal sign. Now, the box is being subtracted. Anyone know what happens to it after the fact, Kenna? Gets multiplied by 2. Very good. Inside the box goes a negative 3. So I end up with my easy side being y equals 2 parentheses, whoops, not y, x minus 3 squared. This side's going to be a little more tricky. This is a 9. That's an 18. So 16 minus 18 is negative 2. And because this is a quadratic equation, I'm going to draw my chart. You will be asked to do this on the midterm. My vertex is opposite intuition with my intuition, so 3, negative 2. I need a really easy number to plug in, Chris.
1.
Easier than that?
0.
0. Now, plug smart. Don't plug into this thing. Plug into this. What happens if I plug 0 into that whole thing? What do I end up getting? Ty. 16. Where else does the number 16 occur? Chris. At 6. So here I end up with my parabola 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2. It's upward facing. It's upward facing. It's a little bit skinnier than normal. And my axis of symmetry goes straight down the center. And my axis of symmetry, which you will be asked for on the midterm, it's going to be x equals 3. Right. Okay, let's keep going. All right, what are we doing here next? We just did 46, so 58. Everyone turn to number 58, please. Okay, similar problem. Oops, that's not right. Okay, so my vertex here, it's already in vertex form, so we don't need to convert anything. It's going to be 4, negative 4. I'm going to pump that into a chart. 4, negative 4. Plug 0 in because it's easy. Now 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Squared is squared is positive 16. Negative is negative 16. Minus 4 is negative 20. Where else does the number negative 20 appear? Taylor? 8 is correct. And now you just do the whole thing like you've always done, and you'll get the answers that you always have. This thing is going to be facing downward like that. Anyone have a handle on the axis of symmetry? Max? X equals 4 is correct. Gabby? Yeah, in these parabolas, yes.
Okay.
In a sideways parabola, it's going to be y equals, because it's horizontal. Max. The axis of symmetry is a line. And that's 58, 75. Ah! Good question. A squared plus 8a is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, from here I'm going to factor out an a, and I get a plus 8 is greater than or equal to 0. So my critical numbers in this function are going to be not a, are going to be 0 and negative 8. So what I do is I take these values and I pump them into a sign chart. 0, negative 8, and I plug my functions in. So my functions are a and a plus 8. I'm going to partition this downward. I need a number smaller than 0, so negative 1,000. Oh, sorry, Dustin. Oops, thank you. Filled 0 right there. Thank you, Dustin. All right. I need a number smaller than negative 8, so that's negative 1,000. So that'll be negative and negative. In between negative 8 and 0 will be, say, negative 4. Negative 4 here is going to be negative. Negative 4 here is going to be positive. Beyond 0, it's going to be positive, positive. If I chose, like, say, a billion, right? A billion is going to be positive here, and then positive here. Nate. Good? Gabby.
Why do you have A like as its own equation?
Because a and then a plus 8. Okay, final intervals, positive, negative, positive. From here, I have to look back at the original problem. The original problem asked me where this stuff here was greater than 0. Well, when we're greater than 0, we are above the x-axis. We are positive. So my interval notation is going to be negative infinity, comma, negative 8, because it starts at negative infinity all the way over here. It stays positive all the way until it's negative 8, and then it ends. I'm going to put a hard bracket here because it is greater than or equal to. I put a soft bracket at negative infinity because we never get there. I'm going to jump over this negative interval, which means I need a union sign. And then I put a hard bracket at 0 because I include, and then a soft bracket at positive infinity because I'm never going to get there. All right. That was 75. 105. Everyone turn to number 105, please. All right. This problem is nasty. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract 16y squared. So what I get is, I'm going to get negative 25x squared plus 100x minus 16y squared plus 32y equals negative 284. Now this is an ellipse because my symbols are still the same. I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1, so I get 25x squared minus 100x plus 16y squared minus 32y equals positive 284. From here I have to do completing the square twice, so I'm going to go ahead and factor out a 25. So I got x squared minus 4x, leave myself some space, plus 16y squared minus 2y equals 284. I'm going to add the boxes. Now, what happens to the boxes on the right? How are those boxes going to be later affected? Dom? Multiply by 25 and 16. Good. Okay. So now inside the boxes go a negative 2 and a negative 1. So I'll put them in here, a negative 2 and a negative 1. That's kind of gross, I know that. So that's squared and squared. Okay, so let's simplify the easy side. That's 25x minus 2 squared plus 16 times y minus 1 squared equals, this is going to be a really big number, so this is 4 times 25, that's 100. And then that's 16. Let's see here. This is 300. This is 400. So I'm going to divide everything by 400. Oops. And now what I get is x minus 2 squared over 16 plus y minus 1 squared over 25 equals 1. Question, Chris?
No.
Okay, what is the center of this ellipse? Center of the ellipse. Lauren? 2, 1, A, B, and C. What's A and what's B? Be careful on this one. What's A and what's B? What do you think, Dom?
A is 5.
A is 5.
B is 4.
B is 4. Let's figure out what C is. C squared equals A squared minus B squared. C squared equals is 9. Okay. All right. So now we have enough information to graph this thing. Let's see here. 2, 1. I'm going to travel. Which way am I going to travel 5? Up and down or left and right? What do you think? Chris? Uh-oh. Saida? Up and down 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, on the y-axis. So that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then out 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So your ellipse should kind of resemble this. Obviously, you guys will be given graphs on the test, so you guys will be able to do it more accurately. Foci is 3 up, 3 down. And now we need to find the major and minor axis length. What is the length of the major and minor axes, Saida? 10 and 8. And then the focal coordinates, we anchor them from the center, so that's 2, 1. Which one gets the plus or minus? Done? 1. So plus or minus 3. And you're all done. Okay, it's a good problem. Okay, 114. Okay, hyperbola. Okay, so it's a hyperbola, so I'm going to go ahead and add the x squared and then subtract 72y. So what I get is x squared minus, plus 4x minus 9y squared minus 72y equals 149. Got to do completing the squares, so I'm going to go ahead and separate some stuff out. X squared plus 4x, leave yourself space, minus 9y squared plus 8y, right? Because if I multiply this negative 9 in, I'll get a negative. Equals 149. I'm going to add the boxes. So inside the boxes goes a 2 and a 4. Remember, the 4 gets multiplied by negative 9. So I got x plus 2 squared minus 9 times y plus 4 squared equals, well, that's 4. That's 16. 16 times 9 is negative 144. So 149 minus 144 is 5. Plus 4 is going to give me 9. After a while, if you do enough of these conic section problems, you start to develop a sense for like 9 times 16 and so on. You always end up getting perfect squares. That's kind of neat. So what you end up with is x plus 2 squared over 9 minus y plus 4 squared over 1 equals 1. From here, you have to identify all your parts. So the center is going to be -2, -4. A is going to be 3. B is going to be 1. C is going to be, well, that's C squared equals A squared plus B squared, so that's root 10. Can I get an estimate on the square root of 10? Ty? 3.1. So from here, I just graph this thing and get rid of this. So I got a -2, -4. Which way am I going 3? Left and right or up and down? Which way am I going to go 3? What do you think, Chief? Left and right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then up and down 1 and 1. Your box is going to look kind of like this. I draw asymptotes through the corners of the box. Is this a side-to-side hyperbola or a top-to-bottom hyperbola? What do you think? Side-to-side, I agree, because the major axis is underneath x. So it does this. Okay. Foci are going to be 3.1, which is about right here and about right here. Now we need to find the vertices. Well, the vertices we center from the center, right? So that's mean -2, -2, -4. Which one of those gets the plus or minus? Chris? X. -2 plus or minus 3, comma 4. And then the foci, or the focal coordinates, are going to be -2 plus or minus rad 10, comma -4. And then what is the slope of the asymptotes? I'll give you a hint, it's plus or minus. What's the slope of the asymptotes here? Chief? Not 3 over 1. Dom? 1/3. Okay, right, it's always y over x, right? Y over x. Okay. All right, let's keep moving. Who asked for 116? Do we need to do that one? We just did a hyperbola? Okay, so we can pass over 116. If you really need it, then contact Grandpa Seth. Okay, 133. Okay, writing the standard form of an ellipse. Okay. Oops, that's the foci. Okay, so with this, what is the first thing that I always recommend you guys do when encountering a problem that asks you to write the equation of an ellipse or a hyperbola or whatnot? What do you recommend that I do? Lauren, draw a picture of it. Otherwise, I start calling it Tim Westwood, right? Right. I like Tim Westwood. He's cool. All right, 7-1. 7-1 is about right here. Oops, that's like 7. Okay, that's 7-1. 7, -9 is going to be down here. My foci are at 7, -1 and 7, -7. So what type of ellipse does this have to be? Kenna? Got to be a vertical ellipse, right? Because the foci are always on the major axis. From here, I need to find the center. How would I find the center of this ellipse? I've been given vertices, but how would I find the center? Max? Midpoint formula. So I add them up and divide by 2, right? So my center is going to be 7 plus 7 over 2, comma 1 plus -9 over 2. Well, that's 7, comma, that's negative 8, so negative 4. So that's my center of the ellipse, which means that it's going to be x minus 7 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 1. Now, it's going to be over something. So let me go ahead and just erase this thing real quick here. I'm going to draw this ellipse again. Actually, no, I don't. Okay, I'm going to draw the center. 7, negative 4 is about right here. Whoops. It's about right here. Okay, to figure out A, B, and C, to figure out A, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the distance between the blue dot and where it connects here to the yellow dot. Okay, well, the blue dot is 7, negative 4. The yellow dot is 7, negative 9. What is the distance between 7, negative 4 and 7, negative 9? Dumb. It is 5. Now, that means that A equals 5, which means A squared is 25. Where does 25 go? Underneath which one? Underneath Y. To figure out the distance, to figure out the B value, I measure from the blue dot all the way to where one of my foci is. I'm at 7, negative 4, and this is 7, negative 1. So what is the distance between 7, negative 4 and 7, negative 1? What is this distance going to be? Chris? 3. Which means that C equals 3, and I use my CAB formula, so C squared equals 9. CAB formula says C squared equals A squared minus B squared, and I solve for B squared. Well, negative B squared is going to equal negative 16, so B squared equals 16. You get a 16 underneath there. You're done. All right. Cool. Let's keep going. Running out of time here. I believe 136 is a similar problem, so we'll go ahead and forego that. Yeah. Uh-huh. A vertex. No, finding the center from the foci, that's to find C. And then you use C and A, C squared and A squared, to find B squared. Right. Okay, so 136 is dead also. Okay, 148. Okay, vertex. Negative 3, comma 0. And then focus is negative 3, comma 1/16. Okay, so now what you do is, Tim Westwood, what do you do?
Right.
Draw a picture of it. So your vertex is at negative 3, 0. And your focus is at negative 3, comma 1. Is 1/16, is that above 0 or is that below 0? It's above it, right? It's bigger. Okay, what is the only way this parabola is allowed to open? Julia, what do you think? What is the only way this parabola is allowed to open? Up. Good. The whole world will be able to know you got that one right. Good job. Okay. All right, so now we have the vertex. What type of parabola is this? It's an upward-facing parabola, so is it y equals or is it x equals? Chris? It's y equals. And is it positive or negative a? Positive a. So it's going to be y equals a parentheses x plus 3 squared plus 0. Do I need to put anything after that? No. Okay, solving for a. I'm going to go and take this parabola, I'm going to blow it up a little bit. So if I blow this parabola up, where this thing is at 0 or negative 3, 0, if I say right here, this is, the focus, I have to figure out the distance between there and there. This is a piece of cake. What is the distance between 0 and 1/16? 1/16, right? Now, when we find that distance, what letter represents that distance? No. C. Okay? A lot of people missed this one on the quiz, by the way, because they thought A was the distance. It's C. So, we take 1/16 equals 1 over 4A. Cross multiply, 4A equals 16, A equals 4, which means that this here becomes 4. All right, let's keep moving here. $151. Okay, 151. Little different. Oops, y equals 9. Sorry. Okay, Michael, when I did this one with you, I think I did it wrong. I think I said x equals 9 instead of y equals 9. So it'll be a little different on the video, which is fine. Okay, from here, Tim Westwood, I just asked you to draw a graph. Okay, so here my focus is at 7, 7. So here it's 7, 7. And my directrix is y equals 9. So 9 is above, it's going to do this. What is the only way that this parabola can open up? Dumb. Downwards. Okay? Alright, so now I have to figure out what that vertex is. Well, this focus here is at 7, 7. If I had to, you know what? Let me change colors real quick. I'm going to put a little green dot right here on top of that dotted line. What are the coordinates of that green dot? Does anybody know what the coordinates are of that green dot? Ty? 7, 9 is correct. Okay? So now, what is the relationship between the vertex, the focus, and the directrix? What's the location of the vertex in relationship to the directrix and the focus? Cameron, what do you think? Brianna? It's in the middle. So we can use midpoint formula. So 7, 9, 7, 7. So that's going to be 7 plus 7 over 2, 9 plus 7 over 2. So that's 7, 8. So my vertex is going to be y equals a, and then x minus 7 squared plus 8. Let's figure out a. What is the distance? This is 8, this is 7, 8. What is the distance between the vertex and the focus? Matthew. It's 1. So C equals 1, which means that 1 equals 1 over 4a. So a equals 1/4. So that means that my final equation is going to be y equals 1/4 x minus 7 squared plus 8. However, what type of parabola was this from the start? Downward facing, so it's not 1/4, it's actually negative 1/4. Good. Okay, 155. All right. Okay, real quickly. Okay, with these problems here, if nothing's being squared on the bottom, it seems like you can't solve it, just use substitution. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of the, I'm going to get y by itself. So I'll have y equals negative x plus 4. I'm going to pump all of that stuff into here and into here. So I end up with 2x squared minus parentheses negative x plus 4 squared minus 18x minus negative x plus 4 plus 20 equals 0. Okay, so what I get here is 2x squared minus, that is x squared negative 4x negative 8x plus 16 minus 18x plus x minus 4 plus 20 equals 0. So I'm going to clean this up here. 2x squared minus x squared plus 8x minus 16 minus 18x plus x minus 4 plus 20 equals 0. Let's clean all this garbage up. That's x squared. Here and here, that is negative 10x. Sorry, plus another one, so that's negative 9. Gone, gone, gone. Let's see here. Negative 6, looks like all of these go away, right? Negative 20, positive 20 equals 0. So x times x minus 9 equals 0. X equals 0, and x equals 9. Plug it back into the original problem, or plug it back into, let's plug it back into this one here. So let's clean that up. That's x plus y minus 4 equals 0. In other words, x plus y equals 4. So if I plug in 0 plus y equals 4, I get y equals 4, which means that one of my coordinates is going to be 0, 4. The other version is when I plug 9 in. 9 plus y equals 4. Y equals negative 5. Therefore, 9, negative 5 is my other answer. So this is your answer, and this is your answer. All right.